Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. Now, last week we looked at the Gardcity OverGround network, and I got all but, I think, 2 of the main lines up and running. There's the route that runs down through Flaham Junction, and then temporarily connects to the line towards Rinston Airport, and then diverges again and heads down to the southwest. I can't remember the name of the station it terminates at currently. But there's also the second line which runs via Guard Square that also needs to be finished up. The line itself needs to be finished up, and then trains can start running on that. Those will be done sometime off camera, I think. They'll make it a lot easier to be able to do that. But yeah, the Gardcity OverGround network is now up and running. I'm pleased to say it's working quite well too. I'm quite happy with it. Did have a couple of moments of train congestion, particularly around the Slenston area where the lines diverge to either head east towards Gardcity St Peter, north towards Gardcity St George and St Christopher, and then south down towards the depot. That's been fixed by creating a flyover. So if you're heading from Slenston down towards the depot, which no passenger will do but the drivers will do, then you'll fly over the lines going from the depot towards GSP. It was just to grade separate at least one leg of the junction, try and make things run a little bit faster. I've also put dedicated lines into the depot from both the east and the north, so they run alongside each other now rather than connecting. And I rejigged some of the timetables slightly. I think now I've got it in the position where every train runs half hourly instead of hourly. I think that's what I ended up doing. I can't actually remember off the top of my head now. But all of that stood me in good stead, ready for this week's episode. So last week we went overground. This week we are going underground. The Gardcity UnderGround network has also been vastly underpopulated since its construction, which is something that was bothering me perhaps more than it should have been. But even so, I thought this week, why not actually do something about it? So what you're seeing here on screen is the construction of a new underground depot, which may or may not also serve the overground, actually, thinking about it. I've been waiting for a while now for some kind of depot to be built around Flaham, so that trains that serve the centralink, I keep forgetting the names of the things that I've named, the Centrelink line that runs through Guard Lake. I've been debating whether that's going to be a Gardcity Connect service or an overground service. Wow, I'm having a really bad day today. Whether it's going to be a Gardcity Connect service or a Gardcity OverGround service. Now, with the construction of this new depot here, I think it's going to become an overground service. And the reason that makes more sense is because it will operate at metro standards, but to go from Flaham Junction, stop at every station all the way down to somewhere like Bunbourne Parkway, that does make more sense to be an overground service than a Connect service. And the reason I say that is because some of the Connect services, at least in the future, we've got the current all-stopper ones that run east to west and north to south in both directions. But all the other Gardcity Connect services would be a bit more like Thameslink, where they do skip out some of the smaller stations. And it's only right that we reflect that with the having the overground actually serve the all-stopper services. I think that makes sense anyway. It might not. I might have just ballsed it up big time. But that's the plan. But yeah, this underground depot, it's kind of a weird design. Originally, I wanted it to be in line with the approach tracks, so have it all be in one straight line. But because of the number of shed platforms I actually wanted, I ended up building this kind of staggered design, and then it's also on a 90-degree curve. I think it's quite quirky. It gives it a nice identity. It utilizes this space quite nicely. Originally, I was just going to build it north of the towns here. Then I thought, why not use this greenfield site that we've got here? And actually, the approach lines to it worked out a lot better than I thought they would as well. So I'm very, very happy with that. It is always one of these weird situations building these depots, particularly retrofitting depots into existing stations. It just so happened that Flaham had the capacity to build the extra pair of lines, and then also managing to thread a set of tunnels through to create this depot site here. You will also notice that some of the lines aren't accessible from the depot exit. The depot exit line, and also some depot lines only serve one of the actual depots. That was kind of a byproduct of the design. It wasn't intentional, but it did mean that I was able to have some like dedicated lines for particular parts of the depot, which again I don't see as 100% a bad thing. I think it's kind of every depot I've built has been pretty samey. There are some exceptions. Things like Triangle Point is an exception on the Network Central line. The underground depot that I built over by Renston is also an exception. The Gardcity Connect / West Winds depot at Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge is a major exception because that one's absolutely huge. It's one of the biggest. In fact, I think it is the biggest on the network. And then there's another one I'm thinking of. It's a bit like it's also on a curve, and I can't remember where it is. I might have just made that up actually. But it's something I might do a bit more often. I might start building more depots a bit like this because they really are crammed in. If you think about Ashford International, the southeastern depot there for the Javelins, it's not like an afterthought type depot. It was planned with the new build and everything, but it really does look like they crowbarred it in, which I like. Some people don't like that, but I think that's kind of cool that it was built like that. It's all on really tight curves. All the sidings are really tight curves. I think it kind of works really well with what High Speed 1 actually is, which is hang on, let me think about this sentence before I actually say it. I think it works really well in that it fits the area nicely, which is kind of what High Speed 1 did. It fit the area nicely. It created new connections, new commuter routes in and out of London. The fact that you can get from Dover to London now in an hour is pretty impressive, considering it used to take, was it an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And I know people keep pointing to journey times and I'm like, oh, is this really an improvement? But you got to remember that as well as speeding up this route, you're also speeding up the other routes because you're taking less traffic off it. But anyway, not everyone does the maths. So with the Gardcity UnderGround project, there come some line renamings. Now, hopefully this doesn't botch up any of the maps that George has been creating for me, because I'm not sure where we're at actually with the Gardcity transport maps. But basically there are now, let me get my other window up. Hopefully this doesn't screw up the recording. Hopefully not. Also, yeah, my voice was a robot last week. I don't really know what that was. To those who commented, thank you for letting me know. Not grumbling about that in any way, shape or form. It did fix itself after like 4.5-5 minutes though. So hopefully, you know, I know some people have quite a short patience when it comes to things like that. I tend to be someone where if I'm watching a video where there's an issue, I try and fast forward and see if the issue gets fixed at all. And then if it's really bad, I watch it from where it was fixed. If it's manageable, then I'll watch the whole video and just, you know, kind of suck it up and get on with it. But yeah, thank you for letting me know. I've no idea what caused it. I've no idea what fixed it. It's literally when I tabbed out into my Chrome window, that seemed to fix the problem. And I even mentioned about how my PC was running slow whilst I was doing that, and yet somehow it fixed it. I've also boosted the size of the UI. I know there were people who use mobile primarily to watch my videos who were struggling to see the UI, not just in this series but other series as well. Again, something I'm working on. Let me know if that's working well for you or not. Trying to increase the size of the UI just to make it a bit more manageable, shall we say. Let me know if that's working at all for you guys or whether it needs work still. But again, thank you for letting me know about that, because it's something that hadn't actually crossed my mind. So yeah, big appreciation for that. Right, as I said, there are some line renamings with the Gardcity UnderGround project. First of all, we have the Circle Line, which is abbreviated to CL. That's the only one I think that's remained the absolute same, and that runs from Bankside to Flaham Junction via the entire circle route in the centre of Gardcity, and which includes Bankside again. So technically, it really does represent the Circle Line in London. Starts at Edgware Road, goes all the way around anti-clockwise through Edgware Road again, down to Hammersmith, and then back to Edgware Road via Edgware Road, if that makes sense. So this one does pretty much the same, except it does run anti-clockwise as well, actually. It does run anti-clockwise. Then we've got the Western Line, which runs from Flaham Junction down to Nudhall, which is where the line currently loops round to Dinpool East. I actually built an extension along the old Overground line to where Nudhall Overground used to be. Where Nudhall Overground is. And that's now just Nudhall. I think it used to be called Nudhill Underground or Nudhill Metro, something like that. Nudhall, sorry, not Nudhill. But now it's just got the name Nudhall. I think that kind of works. It's also single track down there. And I started using lifted track. So where I've got single track branches like that, where it used to be double track, instead of just deleting the second track, I've made it a lifted track. So it's there if we want to use it again. And again, that's something I'm going to use more on the network now. I'm planning on building some sort of rural branch lines. Because right now everything's kind of double track main line sort of thing, apart from the heritage lines. So I'm going to build some sort of rural branch lines, and I'm going to have lifted track alongside. So it's going to look like it used to be double track, but now it's only single track. Because again, I think that adds to the story of the network quite nicely. But yeah, that's the western line. The reason it's called the western line is because it runs along the western side of the Gardcity UnderGround circle. So it joins the circle at Gardcity St Christopher, I think, or Brook Way, I think, or maybe Lord's Lane is where the actual junction is. And then it runs along the circle until Bankside, and then it goes via Stillington Metro and Shoreham Junction, stations like that. And then when it gets to Letford Lime and Lutfield, instead of going round the loop straight to Dinpool East, it runs along the new branch to Nudhall, and then when it comes back, it then runs via Dinpool East and then back towards Flaham. So that's the second route. The third route is the Eastern Line, and this was the existing one that we had before that runs from Plintbridge Common down to Dinpool East, and that one just goes straight round the loop. It doesn't go off towards Nudhall. And that's called the Eastern Line because it runs along the eastern side of the route. It joins the circle at Halliday Circus, and it leaves it again at Bankside East. Then we've got the Crosstown Line, which is another existing route. This is the one that runs from Renfingley Market via Gardcity Rinston Airport, and then up towards... in fact, this one terminates at Flaham Junction, and it joins the circle at Victoria High Street, and then it leaves the circle again at Brook Way. And that one's the Crosstown Line because it literally runs crosstown. It technically is the Western Line in many regards, but I call it the Crosstown Line just to separate the two. Also, I should read out the abbreviations, so if you load up the game, you'll see what ones I'm talking about. So the Circle Line is CL, the Western Line is WL, the Eastern Line is EL, the Crosstown Line is CRL. There was probably a better way for me to do it, but that's the one I chose. And has my Premiere screwed up, or am I just doing something really slow? I actually don't know what's going on my preview screen right now. Hopefully my microphone's still working. Then we've got the South Line that runs from Renston Interchange to Gardcity Great Winfield Airport Western Terminal. And that runs along the southern side of the circle. It joins the circle at Woodside, or Woodside Avenue technically, or maybe GST thinking about it. And then it leaves the circle again at Victoria Central. And that, as I said, runs along the southern leg of the circle. And then finally, we've got the North Line, which runs from Plintbridge Common across to Plafingburg. Now, Plafingburg is on the overground/underground link that we built last week. And it joins the circle at Halliday Circus, and then it leaves the circle again at Bartholomew Square. So it literally just runs across that top bit through GSG and Halliday Circus and Bartholomew Square, stations like that. It does also stop at GSB, Gardcity St Bartholomew, also known as Guard Square, and then it connects up with the overground and then runs out to Plafingburg. We have got one extra line, so the North Line is abbreviated NL, by the way. We have got one extra line, which I've currently called the Lake Line, and it runs from Bankside up to New Safing Hill Parkway. Now, New Safing Hill Parkway is that big multimodal station on the network central out of GSB. So currently it's got a huge bus terminus and things like that. And then it had these two extra metro platforms, whether it was for overground or underground. So currently I have an all-stopper little shuttle service that runs between Bankside and New Safing Hill Parkway. And it does use the circle, obviously. So it goes Bankside, Louth Lane, Gardcity St Mark, South Bank, Sloane Street, GST, Gardcity St Thomas, East Bank, Portston Road, Leapside, Gardcity St John, Portston Town, Rindingwell Central, Puningbury, Feffing Hill East, Slonding Head Lakeside, and New Safing Hill Parkway. So it doesn't actually go to GSB. Did I say it went to GSB? I don't know if I did. It's the other line, the North Line that runs through GSB. And again, these are the two lines. They diverge in different directions. So one comes off the anti-clockwise direction, one comes off the clockwise direction, and runs towards GSB. One actually runs via GSB, the other one doesn't. And I kind of like that because it makes people have to connect at different stations and things like that. But this runs to the same timetable as the Circle line. So the Circle line is a train every 20 minutes, and all the other lines except the Lake line are a train every half hour during the day. This is, except for the Lake line, which is also a train every 20 minutes. The other rare feature about the Circle line and the Lake line is they also run every 20 minutes at night, which I thought was good, beneficial, because it meant I could do the timetabling a little bit easier. But you know, Gardcity can have a night underground service. Why not? There are night trains on the other lines as well, but they run hourly. I might have changed it to half hourly. Actually, I think it is still hourly, as opposed to half hourly, and it's working quite well. I've left it testing for a few hours since I created it, and everything seems to be working okay. I've got a sneeze coming, so I might have to turn away from the microphone in a second. I should be okay, maybe. Nope, one sec. Oh, but yeah, really happy with the Gardcity UnderGround. There are still lots and lots of lines that will be added in the future. For example, currently there are no lines that travel west of Gardcity Great Winfield Airport West Terminal. So there might be, I wouldn't say they would go as far as, is it safe? Not Safingly. Is it Safingly? I think it might be Safingly. And Neffingburg Springs East. I wouldn't say there were underground trains. Wow, my mind is all over the place. I wouldn't say there were underground trains that would travel as far off the beaten path as those two stations. That might just be overground only, but it is still electrified to fourth rail, so we will see. But definitely between Plyn Hill and Chewwood, there needs to be a new line there, and just other connections. So, for example, right now we've got Flaham to is it Wenfingley? Hang on one second. Yeah, Wenfingley Market to Flaham. And we've also now got Flaham to Nudhall. But something like Flaham to the airport would be a good idea. Plus, we've got terminus platforms at stations like Wanton. And Rinston Airport as well has a terminus platform that's currently not being used. Plus, you know, little turnback platforms at certain stations for shuttles as well. So there's plenty of potential still. Bankside's depot might be the one that provides most of the trains for this. So it could literally be a case of a train starts at Bankside, runs up to Wanton, then reverses to Rinston Airport, and then terminates again at Bankside. Something like that. Or maybe starts at Shoreham and runs out to Rinston and then back. Something like that. I haven't fully decided yet. But there's lots and lots of potential still. So if you have any ideas for underground lines, feel free to comment down below. It's always appreciated. And again, get the chat going, guys. The Discord has been quite lively recently, which I'm very, very happy about. There's lots of people working on cool OpenTTD related projects. I was also asked actually yesterday about whether or not there is potential for a server to be set up, an M4J server, where people who watch the series can go on and play. That is something I've thought about. I'm mainly focused at the moment on the Patreon server. So in other words, creating a server and then moving the M4J network onto that server, and that's where it will stay forever. That will be where it lives. So people who are patrons can access the server, run their franchises themselves without me having to get involved too much. That is something I'm still very, very much interested in doing. I still need more patrons, because right now I have 2 total patrons, but only one is actively engaged. So, I mean, I'm not ungrateful for that at all. It's very awesome that I have 2 patrons in the first place. But I'm waiting for sort of 5 to 10 patrons still. And I know I need to do more to actually promote my stuff to get more patrons, which is something I'm currently working on as well. But yeah, 5 to 10 patrons, and I reckon we can have a server set up for the M4J network. The reason I say 5 to 10 is because this thing obviously needs to pay for itself. And right now, my patrons just about cover the cost of my website. So I need to get a little bit more coming in just to cover the cost of a server as well. I have found a way to host a server, though. So that's all done and dusted. I will have to look at, you know, port forwarding and things like that. But right now, at least, I have the capabilities of hosting a server. I might have to look at the AI system just to make sure that things aren't being done whilst, like, if you're the runner of a franchise, which will be your own company, I don't want the AI to take over and start adding trains and messing around with things whilst you're offline. So I know there are ways of doing that. I just need to look into it a little bit more and make sure that it's 100% foolproof, because I don't want anyone getting shafted by the AI just because they had to go for dinner or something like that. So yeah, patrons required as always. I am in the process still of creating merchandise as well. Technically, I have a store on Teespring, which you can purchase hoodies, t-shirts, and I want to say mugs. I think I've got mugs on there. I need to check that actually. That's been up for a couple of months now. I just haven't promoted it. The reason I haven't promoted it is because I'm not convinced anyone's actually going to buy anything. But if you are interested in buying some stuff, let me know. I'll give you guys the link to the Teespring store. You don't have to buy anything, of course. You can just have a browse if you wish. But I'm looking for feedback. So if there's anyone out there who's willing to provide feedback on it, then please do get in touch and I'll send you guys the link. Have a look, see if there's anything there that takes your fancy. If there's anything missing, whatever it might be, whether it's, you know, masks, phone cases, anything like that, let me know and I'll look at adding those as well. But I want to start selling some stuff, selling some merch. I think that's like the next logical step as a content creator now. But I want to know that, you know, I want to make sure that I'm selling the right stuff and advertising it to the right people. So yeah, feedback is always appreciated. I was going to say something else really cool. Oh yeah, if you have any ideas for designs as well. So I know that there are talks about putting the M4J network map on canvases, like giant posters, and selling those. That is still something I'm actively looking into. The reason I haven't sort of committed to that yet though is because the network changes so much still. The map is constantly being updated, and I'd hate for someone to buy a map on a canvas or a print, wherever it might be, and then the network has a massive change afterwards, and then that map is no longer relevant, because I don't think that's particularly fair either. But yeah, this pretty much does it for this episode, guys. It was a bit of a short one. I actually had a lot to do off camera for this episode. I was sat at my desk for about 6 hours, and only 40 something minutes of it was actually recording this video. So that gives you an idea as to how in-depth some of these projects can actually be, and why sometimes videos can be a bit on the slow side. I was going to go through loads of Metro news as well, but I've run out of time, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. And like I said, check out the Teespring store if you wish, or if you'd like to, let me know and I'll send you guys the link. Besides all that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.